Atlanta, Texas, for Andre Marrou. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Marrou.
Howdy.
I would like to find out if possibly there's some sort of legal action that could be taken to include you in the debates. It seems that being excluded is totally contradictory to a democratic election.
Well, that's a very good question, and we are considering this now in my campaign and in the National Party as to whether filing a suit would be worthwhile, who would we file a suit against, what would we say, and that sort of thing. We are seriously considering this right now.
There is no law on this, is there?
No, there is no law, but that's a corporation.
There used to be an equal time law. That doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yes. That is a corporation, or the debate commission is a corporation, and we don't know what the articles say, but the article have to say something.
But the president didn't listen to them. I mean, the president said, I don't want to go along with what they said, so they were just quasi.
Well, the president's got a hammer that I do not possess. He has clout that I don't have.
But he didn't have the court.
Well, he can go to court anytime he
Yeah, but
wants.
so can you.
Oh, of course, and we may do
And
that.
you and he in court are equal, aren't you?
Well, theoretically. But remember that all judges are either Democrat or Republican. There are no Libertarian judges yet.
Richland, Washington, for Andre Marrou. Hello.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen.
Hi.
Two short questions. Number one, did you say do away with taxes?
I said do away with the personal income tax and abolish the IRS. When Nancy and I campaign and we hand out cards, on the inside of the card are 10 issues, and the very first issue is to repeal the personal income tax and abolish the IRS.
And then where would funds come from?
The income tax, the personal income tax, only takes up about a third of federal revenues. When you get rid of that, you still have 2/3 to operate the government on. That 2/3 of the budget this year, believe it or not, is equal to the entire federal budget just 7 years ago. All we have to do is to bring back the government of 1985, which is already too big, and we can easily get rid of the income tax. And we did it in Alaska. 12 years ago, the Libertarian Party got rid of the state personal income tax 12 years ago, believe it or not. Democrats and Republicans fought us every inch of the way, and they've been trying to bring it back after every year since, during the 12 years.
You have a follow-up question, ma'am?
Yes. How do we defend our country if you're going to do away with taxes?
That's very easy, ma'am. First of all, we bring the troops back home to defend the United States instead of defending Japan, Germany,
Still have
Korea,
their troops.
and 45 other countries. Right, but fewer troops than we have now, because Russia is no longer a player. Plus, what we would do is I would encourage the re-establishment of the state militias as described in the Second Amendment to the Constitution. These are the people who fought at Concord, fought at Lexington. These are the Minutemen. These people can form the backbone of the defense of the United States, but we do still need some federal troops.
Compton or Campton, Michigan. Hello.
Yes, this is Larry. Good evening. Two questions. Mr. Marrou, how would you deal with the current $4 trillion federal deficit? And also, what would you do about the current drug enforcement efforts?
Okay, the debt, the national debt is actually $4.2 trillion, which is $4,200 billion. That's over $17,000 for every American alive today, including little babies like my 6-week-old grandson, who doesn't even know about this yet, of course. But there are only two...
We're accumulating a debt for him.
Right. He already owes $17,000, and the kid
Doesn't do a thing.
Hasn't done a thing. There are only two ways to do something about a debt, to pay it off, and that is to generate a surplus. We need to cut the government faster than we cut taxes to generate a surplus and use that to pay off the debt. That alone will probably take 20 to 25 years. The other thing is to sell the 30% of the land mass of the United States that the federal government controls that it's not supposed to control. Sell that to Americans for farming, for ranching, for recreational use, for mineral exploration, and if it's environmentally sensitive, sell it to the Sierra Club, the Wilderness Society, and so forth. Use that money to pay off the national debt. We estimate that by doing that, we can pay off the national debt within 4 to 8 years.
And about drug enforcement.
Drug enforcement. Prior to 1914, there were no drug laws and there was no drug crime because drugs are so cheap and so readily available. No one cared. A few people did use drugs. It was considered a vice, not a crime. We can do the same thing again. We should do the same thing again. And as a matter of fact, we did in 1933 when we re-legalized alcohol after 13 years of prohibition. Two things happened. Number one, drug crime or gangsterism disappeared almost immediately. And number two, usage of that drug has been declining ever since.
We'll be right back with Andre Marrou, the Libertarian Party candidate for president. Tomorrow night, follow-up to the vice presidential debate on Larry King Live. Don't go away. New York, hello.
Yes, hello. I am very impressed with your ideas and consider voting for you. But I want to know how you would plan, if elected, to cut through the red tape and all the lobbyists that actually run the country, not the president.
What could you do?
Actually, what we found out is when a Libertarian gets elected, he or she has an effect all out of proportion to their numbers. For example, when I was in the House in Juneau, I was outnumbered 39-1, and yet I got more bills passed, and I was able to stop more bills in committee and on the floor than any of the other freshmen, and we had 19 out of 40 who were freshmen. And we find this to be true. So if I'm elected president, there will be Libertarians in the House. And if I'm the president, Nancy will be the vice president. The vice president is required by the Constitution to preside over the Senate, and I guarantee Nancy will preside over the Senate in a manner to which they have not been accustomed. This will give us a lot of impact in the Senate.
She will preside.
She will preside every day.
What, if we don't have income tax and the like, what do we do with a Hurricane Andrew? Well, under a libertarian concept.
Well, one of the things I would have done was to send troops in there to stop the looting that was done. That's another thing that I would have done in California. Sent troops in to stop the looting, something that Wilson waited 24 hours for, and Daryl Gates, of course, withdrew his troops at police. They ran away when the rioting started. That's what we would have done. We would have sent the troops in to stop the looting.
Fort Wayne, Indiana, hello.
Hi, how are you today?
Hi.
Howdy.
What I wanted to know was, and I presented this question to Mr. Marrou before, was we have a system now where people are used to being taken care of, and if you say, we're going to give you you have the right to make your own decision. Now, people are going to balk on that, and I don't think people really are prepared to take care of themselves, especially with the entitlement programs that we have.
Well, sooner or later, people have to understand that they do have to accept responsibility for their own actions. We feel that you have the right to do with your time, your body, and your money anything you want to do, provided you don't use force or fraud against anybody, and provided that you accept responsibility for your actions. Sooner or later, people have to be mature. I mean, what is the meaning of the word adult or mature? And what it means is that you accept responsibility for your actions, whatever they are.
Knoxville, Tennessee, hello.
Yes, Larry, love your show.
Thank you.
I think you're becoming a political institution yourself, Mr. Marrou. A question for you. With the American public, I think, becoming more affected by image than substance, how do you educate them as to your political platform? And secondarily, how do you get the media to go along with you in that regard and give you the airtime that most other candidates seem to get by fait accompli?
Well, actually, we haven't been able to get a lot of network time. This is one of the few occasions where we've been allowed on a major network. But we are getting there. At the city level, we do much better with the city media, the city newspaper, city television, and radio stations. So we're working our way up. We're getting the publicity. We are doing a lot better with the people than many of the press think. Typically, when we have an event scheduled and I'm told there may be 70 or 80 people there, what happens is that 150 will show up. I'm told there'll be 20 or 30 and 70 show up. That's the sort of thing we're getting.
Don't you think if Ross Perot does real well, if he had stayed in one or does real well, don't you think that helps the Libertarians in that you crack the two-party system?
Well, maybe. Maybe.
Can't hurt. I mean,
sounds like something your mother used to say.
Yes, correct. That's where I got it from. How could it hurt? You want to crack the two-party system first. If Perot can do it, let him be your bellwether.
But why is it Perot gets in, and the only thing he's got that we don't have is money? And we've got the organization, we've got the candidates, we've got the experience. I've already been elected. He's never been involved in politics before. The only thing he's got going for him is money. Doesn't that say something about the system when he gets a lot of publicity that I don't get simply because he's got a lot of money?
Missoula, Montana, hello.
Hello. Mr. Marrou, if your name wasn't on the ballot, who would you vote for on November 3rd?
None of the above, ma'am. I'd probably abstain.
We'll be back with our remaining moments with Andre Marrou, the Libertarian Party candidate for president. Don't go away. Marrou, his phone number, if you want more information on the Libertarian Party, is
1-800-272-1776. 1-800-272-1776.
And your vice presidential candidate is on Cryer & Company tomorrow morning.
She is, Dr. Nancy Lord. Actually, Nancy has 2 doctorate degrees, one in medicine and one in law. No kidding. She's one of the few people who could sue herself for malpractice.
So you'll see her tomorrow morning on Cryer & Company. What percentage of the vote do you actually think you're going to do? How well do you think you're going to do?
Well, as I mentioned, if we can get in the polls, like the CNN poll, I think we're going to end up at about 5 to 10%. If they don't put us in the polls, this is going to have a squashing effect, and it'll probably keep us down to, I don't know, maybe 2 to 5%, something like that. Polls are important, and all we ask CNN and other people to do is give the people the same poll now that they're going to have on November 3rd, and that is 4 national tickets.
Thanks, Andre.
You bet. My pleasure.
Andre Marrou, he is the candidate of the Libertarian Party for President of the United States. Tomorrow night, we'll be back following the vice presidential debate, regular time, 9 Eastern, with analysis of that debate. Don't forget, Thursday.